The United States is massive, the third largest country by both area and population. And yet, despite being home to over 334 million people, nearly half the country remains largely uninhabited. In fact, more people live in New York City than the following 9 states combined. So why do these states struggle to attract residents, and what does it mean for their economies? Stick around as we break it all down, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Economy Explorer for more insights. Don't skip any part. You won't want to miss what we've uncovered. Number 9. Maine. Maine is a gem of natural beauty with its mystical pine forests, glacial lakes, and rocky coastline. But despite its charm, the state's population sits at just 1.385 million residents. Why? The brutal winters are a major deterrent. This map shows how most of Maine's population clusters in the south, where winters are less harsh, and the land is more fertile. Beyond that, Maine's economy is the most rural in the nation, with nearly 89% of its land covered in forest. The timber industry thrives, but there's limited industrial diversity. While cities like Portland boast a decent economy, younger generations often leave for better job opportunities elsewhere, leaving Maine with the oldest median age in the U.S., 44.8 years. This exodus of younger residents has led to a shrinking labor force, creating further economic stagnation in more rural areas. If Maine can invest in green technology and remote work infrastructure, it could create opportunities for sustainable growth. Number 8. Montana. Montana's vast landscapes make it a dream for nature lovers, but its sparse population of just 1.12 million speaks volumes. Despite being larger than Japan, it has less than 1% of Japan's population. The issue? Montana lacks bustling cities and high-paying jobs. Its largest city, Billings, has just over 100,000 residents. Combine that with harsh winters and inflated housing prices, and it's easy to see why many young Americans bypass the Big Sky state. Montana's economy heavily relies on agriculture, tourism, and mining, but it's been slow to diversify. However, renewable energy projects, particularly wind power, present untapped opportunities. If the state capitalizes on its vast open spaces to expand wind farms and green energy initiatives, it could attract new industries and create jobs, ultimately drawing in more residents. Additionally, Montana's tourism sector could expand by promoting ecotourism and outdoor recreational activities on a global scale. Number 7. Rhode Island. At first glance, Rhode Island's small size explains its population of just over 1 million. But despite its high population density, residents are leaving. Why? The cost of living rivals New York, but the opportunities don't match up. Manufacturing jobs, once a staple, have largely disappeared, and the state's reliance on service industries limits economic growth. As more people move south for better economic prospects, Rhode Island's densely packed urban areas may soon find themselves shrinking further. However, the state is working to revitalize its economy by investing in green energy and technology startups. With an emphasis on education and training programs, Rhode Island could reclaim its position as a leader in innovation and manufacturing in the Northeast. By leveraging its coastal location, the state could also develop its marine industries, tapping into aquaculture and ocean research to create a niche economy. Number 6. Delaware. Delaware may host over 2 million corporations thanks to its tax benefits, but it's home to just about 1.02 million residents. Why? Most of these corporations conduct business elsewhere, creating little economic activity for the state. Wilmington could have been a major hub, but its proximity to Philadelphia outshined its economic prospects. Today, Delaware's economy leans heavily on tourism and retirees, with its beaches drawing in more visitors than new residents. While its corporate laws attract business registrations, the lack of job creation leaves the state's economic potential unfulfilled. To combat this, Delaware has begun exploring avenues like fintech and biotech industries, which could bring high-paying jobs and retain more of its younger population. Moreover, the state's proximity to major urban centers offers the chance to become a regional hub for remote work and digital services, fostering a new era of economic development. Number 5. South Dakota. South Dakota's claim to fame might be Mount Rushmore, but beyond that, its economy has little to offer. With fewer than 1 million residents spread across a vast rural landscape, the state lacks large urban centers to drive economic growth. Agriculture and tourism are key contributors, but they alone can't sustain robust economic development. The state's low-tax environment attracts some businesses, but the lack of infrastructure and workforce availability limits expansion. However, South Dakota has been making strides in renewable energy, with significant investment in wind power projects that could revitalize its economy and attract a younger, more dynamic workforce. Furthermore, by investing in public-private partnerships, the state could expand its tech and manufacturing sectors, creating a more diversified and resilient economy. Number 4. North Dakota. North Dakota shares South Dakota's isolation, but adds its own economic quirks. The state's 780,000 residents rely heavily on the oil industry, which creates boom and bust cycles. Combine that with some of the harshest winters in the lower 48 states, and you have a recipe for low population growth. The Bakken Shale Formation brought an economic boom, but as oil prices fluctuate, so does North Dakota's economy. Without diversification and investment in other industries, the state remains vulnerable to the whims of global oil markets. By fostering technology startups and alternative energy industries, North Dakota could create a more stable economic foundation and encourage population growth. Additionally, the state's agricultural sector has potential for innovation through ag-tech initiatives, which could attract global attention and investment. Number 3. Alaska. Alaska is the largest state by far, yet only 733,000 people live here. Why? Its isolation is unparalleled. Many towns aren't accessible by road, and the cost of living is sky-high due to its remote location. While oil revenues and federal spending sustain much of its economy, Alaska's vast potential for tourism and renewable energy remains underutilized. The state offers residents annual payments through its permanent fund dividend funded by oil revenues, but even this incentive isn't enough to attract long-term growth. Investment in infrastructure and green energy could transform Alaska's economic landscape. If Alaska embraced ecotourism and leveraged its breathtaking natural beauty, it could draw international visitors and create a vibrant service economy. Enhancing broadband access and transportation infrastructure would also help integrate its remote regions into the broader economy, creating new opportunities for trade and investment. Number 2. Vermont. Vermont's idyllic scenery paints a picture of rural bliss, but its economy tells a different story. With just 647,000 residents, it's one of the least populated states. Despite recent success in attracting remote workers, Vermont's mountainous terrain and limited urbanization make large-scale economic growth challenging. The state's economy relies heavily on agriculture, tourism, and small businesses, but it struggles to retain young talent. Yet, its affordability compared to other New England states is turning it into a haven for retirees and remote professionals. Vermont's push for sustainable farming and green initiatives is helping to carve out a niche in the broader economy. By expanding broadband access and remote work infrastructure, Vermont could position itself as a premier destination for digital professionals. The state's vibrant arts and culture scene could also serve as a magnet for creative industries, adding another layer to its economic appeal. Number 1. Wyoming. Wyoming tops the list with just 581,000 residents. Its vast landscapes and minimal infrastructure make it one of the least densely populated states. The state's economy heavily relies on government jobs and resource extraction with little diversification. Coal mining, oil, and natural gas dominate. But as the world transitions to cleaner energy, Wyoming faces an uncertain economic future. Its low taxes make it attractive for businesses, but the lack of major cities and industries prevents significant economic growth. Developing its tourism sector and investing in renewable energy could provide much-needed economic diversification. By embracing geothermal energy and enhancing its national park tourism efforts, Wyoming could attract environmentally conscious businesses and visitors alike. Additionally, fostering partnerships with tech companies to utilize its open spaces for data centers and renewable projects could position Wyoming as a leader in future-forward industries. So there you have it, 9 states that remain mostly empty despite their unique qualities. From harsh winters to limited economic opportunities, the challenges are clear. But the potential? That's up to policymakers, businesses, and residents to unlock. Let us know in the comments. Would you live in any of these states? And what could make them more economically vibrant? Thank you for being a part of our channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Economy Explorer. And before you go, check out one of the suggested videos on the screen for more fascinating economic insights.